tasting.
Yeah.
All right. I'm gonna be laughing so much.
You don't do that. Just be serious, Taha. You gotta lock in.
All right. Y'all beat my socks. My dino socks. Pretty tough, huh?
Is that
Yeah.
bingo?
Yeah, I got it from because I was at VidCon last Friday.
Uh-huh.
There was like some prize thing where if you spin the wheel, you get like different prizes. I think one of them was like a sticker, like a little plushie, socks, or like a big dino plushie. And then I was about to get the big dino plushie, and then like it just stopped right before, and I got the socks instead. I was so mad. I was like screaming. I was like, "Bro!" It's low key.
It's a memory now.
Yeah. No, I think like the next VidCon is in Baltimore, so
Baltimore?
Maryland's gonna be in the ruckus because of me. Yeah. Alrighty, Taha, you ready?
Born ready.
He was born ready. Try to speak loudly, Trouble, pretty
Yes,
much.
ma'am. I'm sorry.
Alrighty, you ready to get this little party started?
Is my audio good if I'm talking like this? If I'm like talking like right here, is it good?
Yeah, you're
Am I
good.
looking like a good boy?
What?
Don't you have the option to be a good boy?
No.
Yeah. All right. Time to get this party started. We have these little fidget toys.
I
Wanna
need
use
that.
them?
I need that.
And today's topic is going to be about religion.
Fuck.
Why do you say that, Taha?
Let's see. I'm kind of with religion for me.
Uh-huh.
I'm kind of iffy. He knows about it.
Mhm.
He knows how I'm iffy about it
How so?
because my family's it's mostly Muslim,
Mhm.
right? But like, I believe in it for like the most part, right? But like, sometimes I'm like, most of the time I'm just like, I'm more like agnostic, which is like,
Mm.
if you don't know, it's like, there could be God, there could not be. I'm not really caring.
Like you take the things that you want and like implement that.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I see.
That's kind of my thing.
I see. Mr. Ben here is a church advocate as a Christian. How's that experience for you? Real quick.
So I'm actually volunteering at my church right now. I am currently working with the children's ministry as the children's intern for the summer. So I'm working alongside the children's pastor there, who I've known. He was my high school pastor, who I've known for a very long time. And my walk with the Lord I've been very committed to my walk with the Lord ever since like my freshman year of high school when I asked my high school pastor to baptize me. I became very committed during my first church camp when I like heard like such a powerful message about the crucifixion of Jesus Christ, and I was just like, this is exactly what I want to believe, and this is what I want to base my life off of.
Alrighty. For me, I'm a Catholic and I've been Catholic my whole life, but I didn't really understand it because when you're a kid, you understand the mechanics of church, but not really like the significance. And so like I knew when to sit down or stand up or like say things or whatever, but I didn't really understand what I was saying. And one of the relevant parts I'm going to bring up in this podcast, and I'll go for the rest of this episode, is that there was this interview. I brought it up to Ben one time, but I don't think I've talked to Taha about it. But there is this video that I watched because, I watch podcasts, and there was this one interview with this one man named Johnny Chang. I think he's actually like pretty local. He was born in like San Gabriel, so not too far from here. And then he's staying around the LA area these days. But this man's story is that when he was a kid, he was like, his parents were Buddhists or whatever religion. And then like from a young age, he turned to a life of crime and drugs and gang violence. And so he's been in and out of prison for how many times in his life. And then at some point, after like a course of many different things, he became a church ministry in the prisons that he used to go to. And so it was like that incredible success story that I could detail right now, but I'll like explain more throughout the podcast when it's useful for us. But that was when I watched that video. He's a Christian, but I still took it as a Catholic because of the denomination. Like I saw that and I was like, I need to sign up for the Knights of Columbus like that day. Which is like the goats of Christianity.
I definitely know about that.
I see.
As
Well-
a raised Muslim.
Yeah. Well, more specifically, instead of like talking about religion or other stuff, or necessarily like about us in general, it will be like, for this podcast, it will be like how has religion shaped the way we act, and what parts of religion can we take, and what parts are like difference between religions. It's just it's just we'll just see how it goes, right? All right, Taha.
Oh shit! What did I do?
So, as a Muslim, do you feel like there's one overarching story in all of the Islamic religion or message?
Honestly, like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's a pretty hard question.
Because, like, I mean, there's like a bunch of different stories, like, I know in Christianity,
Mhm.
like, I'm pretty sure we got like our own Noah's Ark, but it's like a different name, I
Mhm.
think, like similar stuff. It's like I don't know if it all has like one big meaning or is it just like
Mhm.
separate meaning. It's more like the stories with
Mhm.
teachings and meanings kind of thing.
So, what do you think, Ben, as a person who's been involved in this church for a while? What do you think of the one true meaning of Christianity and the Bible and such?
So I think when it comes to Christianity, obviously we are all, or the way I see it as a Christian, we are all made in the image of God. We were all put on this earth to grow and expand His kingdom, and for that reason, as Christians, our goal is to, or our quote unquote meaning of life, I guess you could call it, is in Matthew chapter 28. He calls it the Great Commission, which is when Jesus calls His disciples to go out and make more disciples in His name. And that's essentially where like the church like officially like begins, because at the time of Jesus there wasn't a church. There was like law that was practiced, but there wasn't really a church yet, because Jesus hadn't come down to spread His word. So there wasn't really any way that people could practice the way of God, because they'd only heard it through like old scripture from like the Old Testament. And then when you get to the New Testament, you get the story of Jesus. You get the story of how He came down to earth. He performed many, many miracles. And then He came and died for all of us to save us all from our sins. But yeah, if you want like the great like goal, or like the overall meaning of I don't really call it meaning of the Bible, but it's just like
Message.
what the message. Yeah, what the Bible essentially calls us to do is Matthew chapter 28, the Great Commission: go out and make disciples in my name.
From my understanding of the Islamic religion, Christianity and Islam are fairly similar.
Yeah.
It's just that the main difference is that they saw Jesus not as like the savior, and
As a prophet.
yeah, he just saw Him as a prophet.
Yeah.
And so you're still waiting for the savior of the earth to come. Is that?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
There's like a bunch of similarities that I noticed when I was really young. And I was like, And there was like one is like the Antichrist. We have that too.
Okay.
And we do believe. I'm pretty sure we call Jesus in Islam Prophet Isa, and
Okay.
we do believe he's gonna come when like Antichrist comes and stuff, that kind of thing. But he's still just a prophet for us.
Does the Islamic religion have its own version of like Revelations? Do you know what Revelations is?
No.
Okay, so Revelations is the last book in the Bible. It's prophecy. So it talks about all of the things that have not happened yet, even in this timeline, that are still to come.
Yeah.
It has their own version of that?
We have that.
Okay. So for those of you who don't know, in Revelations, it basically talks about how there's going to be, I believe, 7 years?
Yeah.
Is it 7 years, half the time is going to be like, the best time ever, like on earth. It's going to be like, there's no fighting, no violence. It's supposed to be like this a perfect like utopian world. And then the last half, 3.5 years is supposed to be hell on earth, is when the Antichrist officially takes over. And then he makes rules on earth. And during those first 3.5 years, when those first 3.5 years are up, there is going to be a boat, which I forget how the Bible describes it, but it's supposed to be like a boat where Jesus will come back down and take anyone who decides to believe in Him. And I thought
I was cooked for a second. I was like, I don't think bro was gonna pick me for a second.
He basically comes down and gives almost everyone a second chance. And when I say almost everyone, at this time there will be people with a mark. I forget what this mark is called, but basically if you have this mark, you're not going to be able to go to heaven because of something because of something you've done. Bro's checking
got
to
a
see if they got
birthmark.
the mark. I forget what the mark is called, but if you have that mark, you're not going to be able to go to heaven because of the things you've done in your life and the way you believe or the way you think about like God and everything. So, but yeah, he'll come back down. He'll give people a second chance to be like, okay, he'll tell people their story who haven't heard him yet, and he'll retell the story to people who have heard of him, and then he'll give them one last chance. And if they choose like, no, I like it here, because of this, he's going to come during this utopian society where everyone's going to have everything they wanted. So if people are going to be like, no, I like it here, then they're going to stay there, and then and then unfortunately they're going to go to hell, or they'll come back up with Jesus, and then they'll live eternity in heaven. And one thing about Revelations, a lot of people, I personally don't think this is happening, but a lot of people, especially during like the peak of COVID, thought that was it. They thought like, this is it. This is going to be like, this is what a version of Revelations that people have hypothesized, because the Bible's very unclear about how it's supposed to happen. They don't know. It doesn't specifically say if it's the 3.5 years of terrible things are going to come first, or if the 3.5 years are going to come later. But they essentially thought when COVID was on its peak and it was taking so many lives that was the beginning of Revelations. And a lot of the people in my church and a couple of my leaders would be genuinely surprised if they did not see Jesus come back again in their lifetime, because it's just there have been so many signs that have lined up with like what the Bible has been saying in Revelations. But then again, we don't know, because the Bible doesn't want us to worry about the future. It just wants us to focus on the present. So
Very interesting. And you mentioned that there are many signs for like the end of Revelations to come. So one of them was like a great disease coming.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. What were the other signs that we've seen so far?
So a lot of the other signs have been like, different like power and with like not with religious, political leaders.
Mm-hmm.
So we've seen like things happen like, especially in America with like, especially with the upcoming election, we have Trump versus Biden.
Mm-hmm.
We saw what happened last year with January 6th.
Yeah.
That was, I don't think that was like a direct like reference to Revelation, but there is talk about how, I believe there was talk about how political leaders are going, I forget what the exact wording is. I haven't read Revelations in a long time, but there is talk about how political leaders will become, no one's going to be able to agree on anything, and how there's going to end up being one person, the Antichrist, who's going to slowly rise up to power and eventually not rule just like America or anything, but the Antichrist would govern the entire world under one government, under one dictatorship.
Alrighty. So we're going to switch things up a little bit other than these big Revelations talk. Thank you for sharing. And so we're going to switch things to sin. Is there an idea of sin in Islamic religion, Taha?
I'm pretty like again, I'm not like the best to ask for this, because like all I know is like stuff my mom told me, or like, and it's all kind of hazy. But like we do have like stuff like, oh, this is haram. That's like what I know of. Like for example, we can't eat pork because mostly because when a lot of times when like what my mom told me is because like pigs eat their own shit. So
just like pig.
So like if you eat pig, you're probably eating their shit. That's what she said.
Type shit.
So like there's like stuff like that, and like you have to get like like a halal food, which can be like, oh, no pig or anything, or like gluten. Gluten has pig in it, like fat in it, or like what was it? It has to be like slaughtered like good, like
in a certain way.
Yeah, like it can't be like I think humanely. I think. But again, I don't know much about it. I know like I had to buy like marshmallows without like gluten or something. Like no, it's gelatin, not gluten.
Okay.
Without gelatin in it, which is like tastes like a little different, but that's all I know.
Okay. That's fine. And so we'll just take it how we will for our little talking stage perspective, here to show the teenager side of the equation, right? Alrighty.
Rock and roll.
So mechanically for our lives, a lot of people understand sin And I guess because like sin is, people understand it as like people doing wrong, right? Like to do the right thing is what the religion is teaching us to do. And therefore, if you stray away from that, it's a sin. And so you wouldn't go to like heaven. And so in our lives, and especially in this modern society, and like even how Ben was speaking about with Revelations, but in like a smaller scale too, like sin has become a lot more prevalent with the way we act, right? And the way people act in general. And so I want to ask, we're going to like ease into this question, but the big one is, what are your guys' like struggles with sin and with religion or whatever, and like how you become less sinful, and like how are our perspectives on how to become more virtuous as a person, right? And so we'll ease into this like how I said. So we'll start off with a question like this. So it's like, what are the smaller sins that like people like disregard, and like do you think there's like any point to like think about them other than like the big overarching one, right? Because like a really easy one was like people like curse, like say curse words, and like people forget about a lot, myself included. And then like the significance of not saying it, but like mechanically in our heads, it's just like, what does it matter? It's just a word, right?
It's like sound coming out of
Yeah, it's just like it's an expression, right? So what are you guys' opinions of just like curse words? Like, do you think we really need to think about them? Because you know, you could just pray for a little bit, get all of your sins washed away or whatever.
I mean, like, not really. Like when we were cavemen or whatever, we were just like, like it's just kind of like, I feel like it's more like ideas we put around the word. It's like, it's more or less like how you use the word. I think that's like the bigger problem. Like if you're saying, oh, fuck this guy, then that's a problem. But like, because you're like, I don't know, you're being an asshole.
Yeah.
But if you're like just saying, oh, fuck, like I don't think that's bad or anything.
Yeah, like you just stub your toe. Like,
Yeah.
What do you think, Ben?
So I was trying to think of a verse where it's the Bible specifically states not to do it, but I couldn't think of one. But my view on cuss words is I've been getting a lot better at not cursing as much, and I want to, because at the end of the day, the Bible calls us to. It doesn't call us to live perfect lives, because it knows we're not going to.
Yeah.
But I think the better we try and act more like Jesus, to try and act, because Jesus never said anything like that. Yeah. The closest thing he would probably that come to a curse word is just him saying his name. but the idea of a curse word is the way it originated is it's when you say the curse word, it's because when it was created, I'm trying to word this correctly. You're cursing the person that you're using the word for, so it always has a negative connotation attached to it inherently. So whether you're just saying it like you stubbed your toe, like ow, like crap, I stubbed my toe. It's still, you're still saying the word. You're still like, you could choose not to say the word. Like at the end of the day, everyone has a choice when it comes to saying these words. I choose to not, because again, I'm trying to like act more like Jesus would, and try to refrain from using that kind of language. But then my pastor looked at like a couple of words as like cusp words, not cuss words, but like cusp words, where he doesn't think they're entirely like bad. But then again, everyone has like their own like little like views on curse words. But the way I think of a curse word is it already has a negative connotation attached to it. Why would you say it in the first place? Like, you know.
And you know, like to go back to what Taha was saying, that like you don't feel you're too experienced because you're with your parents. I feel like a lot of people don't sin, and like for this example, like don't say curse words because their parents told them not to, and their parents would be like, "Don't say that word," like, right? And so you know, when you're kids, it's kind of like I said, like you don't understand the significance, right? And so whatever you do is mostly just like how your parents teach you. But like, you know, what happens if like your parents are the people who are virtuous? Like your parents curse in front of you, so it's just like, what can I say? Like it's like confusing, right? So, how do you guys feel? Like, I guess it's an easier question for Ben, but like you said that you want to become more like Jesus. Like, how did that transition go from like I don't want to make my parents angry to I want to become more virtuous as a person? Like you mentioned, it was from a summer camp about your freshman year, right? How was that for like that shift of significance for you?
So it wasn't like immediately where I was like, I'm going to change every single thing I do about my life. Obviously, I had that mentality when I was like, I want to like truly become a Christian, because I'd been attending church before this, but this is like the moment in my life where I realized this is it. So for me, I've been slowly making this transition because it's a lot easier to slowly make little adjustments than it is to make one big adjustment at that same time. So the more I've been getting into the word and the more I've been like reading the Bible, I've just been realizing like, what is the point of like acting like when you say these words, you're purposely trying to be rude. You're purposely trying to either piss somebody off or you're like trying to get on their nerves. And to me, I was always and when I was younger and still today in high school, I'm the kid who gets picked on. I'm the kid who's like, I was always the kid who gets picked last in dodgeball. I was always like teased on the playground or whatever. And I'm still like teased and picked on in school, but I've just kind of like started like pushing it off. Like I just don't care about it anymore. I'm just trying to think of like so the way I think about it is that like kind of that feeling that I had about when I get teased and picked on, I don't want anyone to feel that way. So I've been trying to like shape my life to be like a better person, because I don't want anyone to feel what I had to feel, because I just don't think that's fair. So that's, for me, it was just making those little transitions, and I've been trying to do it especially more in high school, because the things I had to go through, like honestly, it's just not fun, and I just don't want anyone else to have to deal with that.
And like people who are like almost adults like shouldn't really deal with that.
No,
if like kids, like it's like forgivable because like kids are kids, but like from like almost adults to almost adults, it's just a sense of like pure immaturity, right? Do you have any experience? Or also one thing that you spoke about is like you're making connections from yourself to the word and like how you can implement that. Do you have any experience with that, Taha? Or of like becoming a better person from the experience you had in the past, you know?
More like becoming like, I don't know. It's like a more confident person, I guess, is what I think that's part of the reason why I curse more. Because when I was a kid, I was like the goodest kid. I never like cursed ever. Like I thought it was wrong. And then like as I grew up, I like heard more people say it. I was around more people who would like curse and shit. And then my mom and dad are divorced. And one time I spent like a week with my dad when he was visiting, and I heard him curse, and I was like,
when you were young?
Yeah. And I was like, I guess I can do it too. And so like I think that's like where it started, and now it's just kind of like in my vocabulary. I've been like, I told you like earlier this year, I was trying to like lessen it, which I think I have, but I still like say it because like
clearly,
because they're fun words.
Yeah. And also it's like how you were saying, it's becoming more confident. It's a sense of expression, and also in a bad way, like fitting in, right? People who curse, and like people around people who curse, like how you mentioned with your dad, like it'll make you curse. It's just that peer pressure, in which it's like, it's such a shame, because what peer pressure eventually happens is for us to become like a worse person a lot of the time. Like how many peer pressures would you get to like be kind? Like not much, right? You have to be told to be kind, right? And so
I think another thing that I was thinking about it is what our parents try to do is when they try to raise us to be better than they are, right? They don't want, because they've lived there are things there are definitely things that our parents don't want us to hear about, like what happened in their lives. They just want to like keep down because they want us to be better than what they are, right? So I think, especially with swear words, I think it just comes to a point of maturity. If you can hold yourself back from saying the swear word, that shows like a deeper level of maturity. Because as high schoolers, let's face it, we're all going to make mistakes. We're all going to do dumb things. It's just what happens. Teenagers are stupid. It's not much we can do about it. It's true. Don't lie to me. So, but I think it comes to a certain point of maturity, and that's really all it is. The more you can hold back from saying the word, the more it shows like you've matured, because you have a vocabulary where you can just go an entire conversation without using that word. Because let's be honest, that word doesn't add anything to the conversation. It's just there, and it's like you were saying, fitting in. But even fitting in is still like, you don't need to say, like, I know adults that say those words, and I'm just like, dude, Why?
Yeah.
It doesn't make you sound smarter. Like
Yeah.
if you're trying to be cool, I guess. But even you could use different words and be funny without using curse words. Like,
And like now that you say that, it brings me to an idea. Like, would you say that like people sin or like, yeah, like mechanically sin? Because like sin, the definition of sin is a different conversation. But like when people don't follow the 10 Commandments, do you think it makes them look more adult? Or like,
that's a good question.
yeah, because if you think about people who are like children, right? They don't really sin that much because they're scared. But adults, they don't like you're probably stronger than your parents at that point once you're an adult, right? And so at that point, like, do you think sin is like being more of an adult? Obviously, it's not being like more mature, but like people have that idea. Okay, first, do you agree that like people have the idea that adults sin more?
No,
Really?
I don't think that.
How so?
I think the reason I think I think adults have more development, like especially with like their brains. They've experienced more than we have. They know a lot more than we do, and are mature enough to make decisions for themselves. I think the difference between kids is they don't know what's right. They don't know what's wrong. They're still learning about it. So I think that's why kids typically tend to sin more or like make wrong decisions because they just don't know any better.
Kids is in what age range?
Kids is in anywhere from ages 1 to 18.
Okay. How do you feel about this topic, Taha?
I think like I feel like kids like do kind of sin more, but like I think it also depends with adults. Like if you're like from like 18 to like 30, you're still like young. So like you're gonna like make mistakes. You're still like you just became an adult. You're learning. So I think like most of them who like it's more in that age range that of adults who have sinned. I feel like, while in like 30s and to up, like it's more like you should know better type thing.
And were you gonna say more?
I don't remember.
Okay. Okay. And if you remember something, you just tell me. But to go back to what Ben was saying about like if you're an adult, right, from like above 18, you should know better because you've experienced more, right? But there's also that idea where like 1 through 18, that's when you're still like being spiteful or whatever. Like those ideas can transfer to when you're being an adult. So the more you experience, it doesn't necessarily mean the better of a person you are because people can experience and they don't learn, you know, which is a big part of like Christianity and any amount of religion where they want you to learn from your mistakes, right? But because they're sinners and because they don't understand that part and that understand that part of the word, they don't, right? And so I would say personally that I feel like adults actually sin more than kids because one, like kids have influence from their parents, considering that their parents are like good people at the least, right? But for adults, like they have that freedom to just like do whatever. And sin has taken like such crazy like forms as of modern society, like sleeping around, cheating.
That kids aren't doing that.
Yeah. Yeah, but you know, they have more access to like clubs, alcohol, drugs and such, right? So in my opinion, I feel like adults who are not devoted tend to sin more. And like a lot of people are Christian, right? Like the largest religion is Christianity among other religions and stuff. But how many people are like devoted and at the very least, like how many people understand the word? Not as much, not nearly as much, right?
When you say adults, what age range is that?
I'm thinking like 18 to 30.
Okay.
Pretty much.
18 to 30.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Because like if you're above 30 and you're still sleeping around, you need to rethink your life.
You got.
I think you don't. I don't think when you turn 18, you don't have the label adult yet. I don't think you should be given the label of adult until you have reached a certain level of maturity. I think that's what we should be as society should be defining as adult. Because let's be honest, if you're still making dumb, immature decisions, you're still acting like a kid. Because even there are 25-year-olds who make immature choices, act like a kid. But but they just have the label of adult just because they've reached a certain age. I don't think reaching a certain age should determine your level of like how much of an adult you are. I think it's your level of maturity that determines like.
You hear that, adults? The talking stage declares we're more adult than you.
We're talking to you, buddy. I see you. I see you.
That's not what he's saying.
That's not what I said at all. Please don't come after me.
All he said. Every word.
All him.
No.
Get him. His address is.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
were you gonna say more?
yeah, I was just gonna say like I think that typically when people do become a quote unquote adult is not after 18. It's not after you graduate college. I think it's honestly after you reach like your like late 20s, early 30s is when like you truly become an adult, because that's when because college time is like is typically around anywhere between 2 to 6 years, like typically speaking, is where college is around. But you're still applying what you learned as a kid into college. So you're still learning more, and you're going to school. So you're still like in school learning. You're around other people who are also learning. You're on your own for the very first time. So you're learning how to be independent. So you're not an adult yet because you haven't lived by yourself. You're still like most people in college are still taking help from their parents, which is for the vast majority of people is true. Some people work their way by themselves, but most of the people in college have gotten there with like help. So I think becoming an adult is when you don't need that help anymore. When you can live by yourself, where you can do things on your own and not have to ask someone, or not asking for help, because adults still ask for help, and I think that's something a lot of people struggle with. But to the point where you can do things you have the ability to do things by yourself is when you become like independent. Independence and maturity, I think, is what determines like an adult. That's why I don't think people are adults until they reach late 20s, early 30s, because that's when you have some life experience. You've been at a college for a while. You probably have a job, and that's what I think. That's the age range I would say an adult is.
Not to say that like getting help from your kid, or not your kid, from your parents is a problem at any point. Like people take things at their own time. There's a couple things I'm going to go back to, but I'm going to ask Taha first. Like, how do you feel about Ben's perspective that people become adults when it's like their mind reaches it rather than their age reaches it?
No, I definitely agree with that. Like imagine if you're like a sheltered person or whatever, and like you haven't really been outside of like you're trapped or something, and like you haven't been outside the world until you're like 18, and then you're a legal adult. Like you're not gonna know anything. Still, you're not like an adult, and also your brain isn't like fully developed till like late 20s, right?
Yeah, 25. That's why.
So like, get a developed brain. Like,
Just develop your brain.
develop your brain.
Easy
Not
clap.
that hard.
Yeah. And I want to ask Ben, and I guess by proxy Taha, that would you say that somebody can become an adult by 16 or 17 then, by your own logic?
I would say if they have the level of maturity, I'd say no, because they haven't learned. Like I said, the other thing, big part of its maturity, other part is independence,
Self-reliance. Okay.
They can't do anything by themselves yet, whether they like to believe that or not, because let's be honest, teenagers like to believe they're right all the time.
I am right, but
but they haven't developed independence yet at that age. You haven't developed independence until you can truly live on your own or do things. You have the physical capability to do things on your own is when you start developing independence. I think at that age, at 16, 17, you start developing a lot more independence because you get your driver's license, you can start driving, you have a lot more freedom. And that's also what makes independence is freedom, because you don't like when you're a kid, you're mostly restricted to what your parents allow you to do. So when you're an adult, you have the freedom and liberty to make your own choices. And I think based on those choices is also what makes you an adult. But I'd say no, you can't, because 16 and 17-year-olds haven't reached that level of independence. I mean, they can have the maturity of an adult, but they're just not an adult yet because they just don't have that experience.
I have a fire question to ask after this, but I'm going to ask Taha, what is your perspective of can like 16, 17-year-olds become adults by our own logic? I agree, by the way.
well, by our own logic, no. But like, yeah, that's no. I don't think, because 16, 17-year-olds are usually like stupid, or like.
Fair.
Do you mean like the ones who skip grades and stuff?
I'm going to bring up another like a good question after this that like talks about what you're saying. So for like the general, like how do you feel about it right now?
Not like you can be like more mature, but I don't think you're like fully there yet.
Okay. So let me put you in a question like this. All right. So what you're saying is that if you have self-reliance and you have like independence and that responsibility and you have that maturity, then you're an adult, right? But you're also saying that from 16 and 17 until you're like really out of the nest, right? You can't really call yourself an adult. let me put you in a question like this, okay?
Shit. Fuck.
So let's say, okay, we'll just
Watch
say
the
you.
language.
Oh shit. Oh shit.
We'll say it's you in this situation, right?
All right.
So let's say you're about 17, right? But you had a really troubled childhood. Like both of your parents, abusive, bad, horrible, like every sense of the word, just horrible parents, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you run away, right? Obviously, you have that maturity from like, let's say that you've matured somewhat from, okay. So you run away, right?
Mm-hmm.
You ran away at 16, and then you've lived a whole year on like the run, living with like your friends, off your friends' couches,
Mm-hmm.
off like some like streets or in some park benches or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And let's say that you get in a business, hypothetically, with drugs and the drug cartel, right?
Okay.
Ben.
My bad, guys.
At 17, right?
Okay.
Technically, we're self-sustaining because we have a drug business, right? You're not reliant on your parents, right? You have the
Mhm.
maturity from going through all that trauma. Are you an adult?
No,
How so?
you're not mature enough yet.
How do you know?
You're dumb enough to make the decision to run away. That already develops a level of immaturity.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as I knew where this question was going, and as soon as you said run away, I'm already thinking, no, you're not an adult yet.
Okay.
Reason you're not an adult yet is because you made that dumb, immature decision to run away from home.
Mhm.
Regardless of what's happening at your home, that's still a dumb decision. Let's be honest, you don't have a lot of money. You're still living off of other people, regardless of if they're your parents or not.
Mhm.
So you don't actually have that level of independence because you're still reliant on other people. You can't do things by yourself yet.
Mhm.
You had to. And you've been doing this for an entire year, by the way. So you're still piggybacking off of other people. You're still like basically taking things from other families, and and you somehow got a business in drug dealing. Like, okay, that doesn't make you. First of all, that doesn't make you an adult. No,
Mhm.
you're still immature. You're acting immature.
Mhm. What do you think, Taha?
I definitely like not like adult, but like I feel like not with this specific scenario, but you can't like teenagers can be seen as like more mature. I think are more mature than people like realize, like adults realize mainly. But like I still don't think they're like mature enough to be an adult. Like I think I'm mature, but I'm not not an adult. Me stupid. Me make bad decisions. Me fail Spanish.
Not me. I was
Junior
gonna
year.
say me too. Not me.
He will.
No, I won't.
You'll
Pass with
take you
flying
down
colors.
But it's also an interesting situation because like bad parents is how a person thinks of what bad parents is.
Mhm.
And like nobody, what are you looking at me like? He's looking at me like that. I was like,
I'm listening.
okay. And so like bad parents is how you take bad parents, right? But for some people, like who knows how bad the situation was, like physical abuse, sexual abuse, like the list could go on, right? Sober, drunk, whatever, right? And so like I'm not sure, but like let me ask you guys this: is there ever a time when running away is valid as a child?
No, never.
Getting raped.
Yeah, that could be part of
Like,
it, right?
or like
No,
really abuse. No.
zero
No,
reason.
you don't think so?
No, I think there is never a time where running away is okay.
Okay.
What if you like call like CPS for example, stuff like that, like
Okay,
Child Protective
that's
Services.
different. You're not running away.
But
First
like
of all, you're not running
That's
away.
like a different way out. Like that's
Well, those are two different things. One is running away. One is calling for help. Two very different things. Because you can call for help at home. You don't need to have run away. And then if you get into that service, you could obviously you go to an orphanage and you could go to like possibly get like foster care or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But no, that's two very different things. It's never okay to run away because especially as a kid, because you still don't know what the real world is like.
Yeah.
Like part of growing up as a kid, you're getting especially what I'm doing right now is I got a job so I can experience like what the real world looks like.
Like sheltered to unsheltered.
Mhm,
Slowly,
exactly. So I've had two different jobs. I've had two different jobs now. I'm going back to my other job after the summer, but I have a little bit of different experience as to what different jobs look like.
Mhm.
But I also have experience of like talking to my friends, seeing like what their life is like,
Mhm.
and then I see what my life is like But then running away is just never the correct answer. It should never be okay, regardless of what your situation is, because there's always 911 if it ever comes to that. There's always like protection services if it ever comes to that. Hopefully it never does, but I know for some people that will be the case. But running away is never the correct answer.
Like you're just not ready.
No, you can't do it. It's not a if you could or you would. It's you can't. It's impossible. You can't survive. You can't. It's not.
What if like your parents were like trying to kill you?
You can call 911.
But like to get away from them, you'd have to run away.
This is also different story. That's an entirely different story. You're not running away. You're running to help. You're not running away from home. You're like, if you were running to like the police, it's a different story. You're not running away from home. You're running to get help.
Okay, say like you don't have a phone and like
Okay.
you don't have any idea where like the police station is.
Okay, you can ask
But, like,
someone.
Would you just like run across the street and then that would be running away though?
You're not running away. Like I said, that's not. There's a difference between running away and running to help. Like in this scenario that you're saying, it's running to help. You're not trying to run away. You're trying to get help. Those are two very different things. You have the maturity and the capability to go run and get help and know when you're in trouble and know when you need help. That already is a level of maturity. But you're not running away is just immature. It's stupid. You can't do anything by yourself, especially at that young age. You're not like, yeah. Running away would be like, I don't like it here when you have a perfectly fine life. And then you're just running away because you're immature and stupid. But in this scenario, you're talking about running to get help. It's two different things.
Say your parents are trying to kill you. You live in the middle of nowhere. Nowhere.
Still running to get help. It's just a little bit farther.
There's no way. You don't have any sense of direction.
You're still running to get help. You're still trying to look for help. That's the biggest thing.
You're in
still
the
trying.
middle of the woods on a private
You're
island.
still trying to. You're still trying to look for help.
Don't do that.
My fault. You're still.
Ben.
You're still trying to look for help. You're not trying to run away. That's the biggest thing. You're not trying to run away. You're trying to look for help.
Trying to survive.
Yeah, looking for help.
Say it's like
You can't
Stranded.
fool me, Taha. You can't beat
What
me.
if your parents' house was in the ocean?
What if it was in?
Swam away to get help.
What if it was on Mars?
You're still trying to get help.
From who?
Look, at the end of the day, regardless of how many stupid scenarios you're going to throw my way, there's a clear difference between trying to get help and running away.
Yeah. So it sounds like to me, Taha, you do have justification for running away at some situation.
Because if you're gonna die and you're on the middle of an island, where are you gonna get that help from? Where are you gonna get that help from? Where are you gonna get that help? That's all I'm gonna say. You don't have a phone. You can't do anything. If you're like young and you don't know like 911, like what is that?
Mm-hmm.
Like you, the only thing you're gonna know to do would be just to like run and like maybe find help, but like
Most people who in these like kind of scenarios that you're saying are not trying to run away. They're trying to get help. Because if they have scenarios where like they have abusive parents, they have something wrong, like something like is like actually wrong in their household, most or not most people, but if you're, since we're talking about being an adult, the adult like response would be to try and get help instead of trying to run away. That would be the immature kid response.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say that's true, but like I still think like most kids are gonna just like not know what to do.
Yeah, because to go off more of what Taha was saying, like if you're from that such like close traumatic experience, like wouldn't you be distrustful of adults in general, right? And so you'd want to do things on your own. So logically, you could see the logic of how people would run away, like kids would run away.
Yeah.
You would agree, Taha?
Yeah. It's like say I got another example.
Okay.
Say the police are corrupt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd say you have you called up Child Protective Services at some point. They didn't help.
Yeah.
You just, yeah.
Because that was your help.
Yeah, that was your help, but you're still trying to find that other help. Like, let's say 911, Child Protection Service didn't work for some reason. Like your government was corrupt. There was something wrong. You'd still try to run and find help. You wouldn't try to run away. Because if you already have this this is like the adult mindset, right? Since we're talking about like this, because all of these scenarios we're assuming like, is it an adult like response to run away? But if like, yeah, let's go along with this. Let's say your government's corrupt. Let's say society is corrupt, let's say police, all of that, nothing works. You'd still try to find some way who can help you. You'd still try to find that help somehow, whether regardless of the way you're going about trying to get this help. You're at the end of the day, you're trying to get help instead of trying to run away from your problems. Because the biggest that's what I just remembered. The biggest thing about being an adult is being able to take on problems and not run away from them.
All right. So let me ask you this then. Down the line, let's say like you got help, you ran for help or whatever, about 10 years later, right? Like technically your parents are the people who need help, right? So let's say you're in that situation, you're that same person, you've matured, you've become an adult by our standards, right? Would you help your parents?
Yes.
Would you?
If what did they do in this scenario?
Sexual abuse, physical abuse, whatever.
Whole shebang?
Yep, whole shebang.
Okay.
As bad as you could think.
I don't think I'd help them. I mean, like, it depends. Because it's family, right? And, like, family's, like, a big thing. But, like, sometimes, like, you raped me.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I'd help someone who raped me. But, like, I don't know. I guess it just depends on the scenario. Because it's not, like, black and white type thing.
Yeah.
It's more so, like, what did they do specifically? Like, I think.
Yeah. But you could also think of it as, like, one big question, like, do you forgive them? Right? And, like, if you did all of that, like, can you really imagine forgiving? So before we ask that, let's ask Ben. Would you help them?
Yes.
Why?
So, like I said, I try to live my life based on like the Bible, and I try to like live like based on like the commandments in the Bible. And part of the Bible is being in what it says that you have to be able to, one, respect your mother and father. Two is the other thing I was going to bring up, forgiveness. You have to be able to forgive someone. That also shows a level of maturity. I would still want to help them, even though what they did to me was very wrong. I'd still want to help them to make sure, like, when I'm gone, when I'm not there anymore, they're going to be okay. Because especially like, I hate seeing people like going through like struggles. I hate seeing people like that. I've heard some stories about like how just life is just not good. But at the end of the day, I think being an adult at this point is being able to forgive someone and being able to help them. You can, and you don't have to, like, it doesn't have to work, but the fact that you're willing to try to help them is what matters. And you're willing to forgive them is what I think. I would forgive them and I would try to make it better based on my theology of the way I see the world and the way I read the Bible.
All right. So to what extent would you help them? You just like send a couple $1 bills?
No, I would like sit down with them and like try to get them like counseling, or I would try to get them some form of help where they could, or just some. I would do some research, obviously, because I don't know like who to call in this situation, but I would do some research and I would see who should I call, who would help them. Like in this case, like I'd imagine there's some form of counseling that I could reach out to and I could ask for help. But if that doesn't work, I just do some research and I figure out who can help them. But
do you think you would have the maturity to sit down with your parents after all that? Like the whole shebang?
I mean, I could definitely like sit down and like talk, but like I feel like there's a difference for me when it comes to like forgiving someone and like helping them. Because because like you can forgive someone, right? But it doesn't mean you like have to help them. You can be like, I forgive you for this, but like
just gotta take it on your own at this point.
You're on your own, like, because like I don't know, you gotta like, for me personally, because it's not like a religious thing for me, because I don't know about my religion that much. It's like for me you have to like show me you're sorry, I guess. Like if you can show like you're a better person now, you actually deserve forgiveness, and I'd probably help.
Yeah. And that's different from what the Bible says, and like how Ben was mentioning that not only is it part of the Bible to forgive, it's also part of it to give second chances. And so like that's like the second layer of like forgiving somebody in this situation, right? But it's just that it's that part that like it's really difficult for people to answer, right? Because you could forgive somebody because like forgiveness, like forgiving somebody else, right? It's like does it really do much for them? I guess so, right?
Mhm.
But like I mean, to bring up like, and this is gonna be kind of off topic and kind of confusing, but it's like a Buddhist principle of karma, right? Where like if you forgive somebody else, you have that good karma of like doing the right thing, and if like somebody forgives you, right, you have that good karma so that you wouldn't do the bad thing you did to them again, right? And so it's like that part is what people understand, but like going past that and giving that second chance is like something people like have such a hard time doing, because it's not only like, obviously there's the fear, right, but of like that trauma, but it's also like it's your pride too, where you feel so prideful that like you can't like imagine helping these people like be people again, because you just like you don't want anything to do with them, and like you want to be better than these people because of how they like treated you so poorly.
I think it's like easier to forgive someone in your head than it is to like forgive someone in like your heart type thing. So, like you can say I forgive you and stuff, but like
Not
when it
actually
actually comes,
mean it.
when it actually comes down to it, like
Spending the time and
you're
money.
still like not trusting them, still not
Yeah.
really forgiving them.
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah. All right. Do you have anything to speak about this, Ben?
No, other than it sounds like other than these conversations right now sound very similar to like this level of maturity. This conversation sounds very similar to like the conversations that I've had in like my D group or my discipleship group with my church. It's just something I thought was interesting.
conjecture.
Yeah. If I ever meet them, they might be able to come on,
Yeah.
Yeah, but I have a personal rule. If you ever show up on the podcast and you ever want to be in a video, it have to be someone I actually mess with. I actually like,
He messes with me.
like if I don't like you, you're not showing up. End of story. So
I
yeah.
was so happy. I was like, booyah.
So yeah, it's a very complicated situation. And again, it's how you imagine how bad the situation is. So it depends from person to person, right? So to go back to the topic of religion, and we like brought it back with how we're speaking at the end, is that like, why do you think people act so horribly, right? Like, why do you think like it pushes people to like, I don't know, be promiscuous, curse, whatever? I mean, obviously, not to say, okay, we'll expand on this later, but like every sin is created equal in the Bible, but not every sin is created equal in our minds and stuff, right? Like cursing, whatever, blah. But like cheating, killing, murder, like people have it as like a ranking. We'll expand about that later, right? But what do you think pushes people to do the harder stuff, like the bigger sins, like murder, rape, thefts, or whatever, right? And we brought it up earlier that like it depends on a person's situation, a person's upbringing, and like what scenarios and conditions like they've been put through, right? So what are you guys' opinions of like why people would do that, like commit those sins?
I think like it depends with like
I'll go first.
my bad. Okay. No, but it depends. Like you could like, for example, have mental damage, right? That can cause like a lot of like serial killers that have like problems in their brain and stuff, and like kill rabbits and then like
Rabbits.
and like start more, and like it can just progress from there. Or it could just be like how you like events from your childhood, because I know like events from my childhood have affected me and who I am. And so like I feel like if I was like around like, for example, like a lot of killing, and I was like, so oh, this is what you're supposed to do, I could become a killer. I could be a killer right now and you didn't know. Or like with
No one would know.
or like it could be like if it's like more like sexual crimes, for example, it could just be like you can't control yourself or something. Like you can't control your like dark desires or whatever.
And there's also a common trend where like people copy their parents, right? Among any situation, but like if your dad was like a physical abuser, like you'll think that's normal, right? And so you'll do the same thing, and then pretty much like you see these people who are like criminals, big criminals. Oh, I'm kind of scared speaking about this, but like when they're in like the pen, right? These are people who come from like rough childhood. So like killers come from abusive households, and rapists come from like strange households like that too. So what do you think, Ben? Why do you think people accuse those or do those big sins and accusations?
You want my secular response or do you want my biblical response?
Do
What your
do
heart
that in that
desires.
order.
secular first. Like you said, it's past traumas, past like it's things from your past that will shape your future.
Mhm.
It's like it's the decisions you make in your childhood that are ultimately going to affect the way you live as an adult.
Mhm.
Because what happens in society as children, we learn from like the people around us. We learn from the people we look up to. So most times those are like figures in our lives with like a lot of power, which are typically come from like our parents,
Mhm.
come from teachers, and come from anyone we respect.
Mhm.
So like the music we listen to, the things we watch, or who we look up to, like athletes sometimes, but like those can sometimes be like your like who you look up to, who you aspire to be.
Mhm.
So I think it's all of that shapes up who you are as a person. And it develops a lot as a kid, because as an adult it's a lot harder to change what you already know because you learned it at such a young age, and it's just kind of built on like muscle memory.
So biblically, what do you think?
Biblically, I think it's just the devil in society, because the devil, like I've heard a lot of like real experiences about like devilish like encounters. Like some like my I know a lot of like I know a couple of the families in my church actually who have experienced something like this, where they've said like a book just like flew off the shelf. Like it like imagine like this microphone right here were to just this microphone were just to fly off like the desk. That's essentially like what happened. It was perfectly fine, not moving, nothing was touching it, but it would just fly away.
That'd be a shame. It's pretty expensive.
But or there was another example I had which was someone literally was just sleeping like on their bed, and they just were just floating in the air. And it was actually, and I heard about it like literally like 2 days later, and I was like terrified, because this is real. Like the devil is real, and he can change your life. He can, for a lot of people, he can do a lot of good things in this world for them, for this earth. But in eternity, it's just not going to add up. But yeah, that's why I think the devil just picks on people who are weak. He picks on people. He typically will pick on people when they are most vulnerable, or he'll take someone on when they are, how do I say this? Like right after a victory. Like right after like a victory, like something good happens in your
Their
life.
heart is high.
Exactly. He's gonna immediately try to like rethink their mind. He's gonna like try and shape their mindset to something different, or he's gonna pick on them when they're most vulnerable, because that's just when we're weak. When we're when he'll take advantage of like when we're weakest, and like when we don't care as much, and when our mindset is different. Because when, let's be honest, when we're going through like different stages like of emotion, we're thinking differently. When we're sad, we're typically like we're typically have like low self-esteem, like we're kind of like down in the dumps. We don't think very highly of anything anymore,
And you're physically weak too.
and you're physically weak. But like when you're happy, like you feel great, you feel like fantastic. So yeah, my biblical response is it's just the devil like seeking into people's subconscious and then reshaping their mindset.
So to foreshadow, we're gonna talk about like how to foreshadow for the end of this podcast, we're gonna talk about how like the good things have seeped into our lives, like how you're saying like the devil seeped into our lives and like changed us for the worse. We're gonna talk about the opposite at the end.
Mhm.
So now it's time to talk about Satan. Not entirely. We're gonna talk about sin, and we're gonna expand more on sin. And so
I love sin.
sin,
Sinning.
City was amazing. Angels like you.
Flashbacks.
Alrighty. You know, this is why I said that like we probably won't be able to hang out after the pod, because real podcast episodes are long.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good conversation. You guys enjoying so far?
Yeah.
I'm enjoying myself.
Enjoying yourself,
I'd say. I'd particularly say. So, how you guys feel about drugs? Yeah, pretty good, I guess. Help me. They're keeping me here. Hostage, please help me. Please help me. Ivan has a gun. Please help me. Please. This isn't real coke. This is fucking poison. Please help me. This fidget spinner. It's a fucking ball. I don't know what to do. And Where am I? Bro, they're both peeing. And like, I feel left out, honestly. It makes me feel left out. And I don't know what to do. I guess. Fuck. Why am I doing this? Why do I even exist? I'm having an existential crisis with that. They keep here, me hostage. Ben is gonna kill me. Ben's gonna kill me. He's a murderer. He's a murderer. And Ivan's gonna also do things. Probably do things too. With this bomb or whatever. Ivan's a real one. He didn't take his phone to the bathroom. That's real. Doesn't need to be preoccupied, you know what I mean? Unlike a certain Benjamin over there who took his phone. Anyway, on to Taha's podcast. They're coming back. I'm scared. He's got a gun. Help me. I was just telling them how you're threatening me and gonna kill me.
Okay.
And how you're a real one because you didn't take your phone to the bathroom.
Yeah, not
That was real.
Not any stuff people wouldn't know.
That's something Ben wouldn't know.
Yeah.
Benjamin wouldn't know to do that.
You know, I didn't hear the sink go off, Ben.
Go back in
I
there.
didn't hear the sink go off. You better wash your hands.
Go back in there, but that guy didn't work.
You did not wash his hands.
Do not trust his opinions from now on. This podcast is null. Listen to me.
It's over. It's the freak cast now.
Free cast.
What if instead of the talking stage is the freaking stage?
That's like every Saturday night.
You're on the
The freak stage is like the lights are dimmed. Welcome to the freak stage.
What? Welcome to the freaking stage.
We got our guests, Benjamin, and today he's gonna learn.
What do you mean I'm gonna learn? What the hell does that even mean?
How to freak.
You gonna give me a demonstration, Taha?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You ready?
Oh wait.
You're weird, bro.
I'm getting freaky. That's the whole point, buddy. Maybe you're gonna learn. Take a page out of my book. Also, I trust Ivan more than you because you took your phone to the bathroom and he didn't.
What do you? I took my phone because I was on Clash in the bathroom.
Yeah, he wasn't.
Yeah.
He sat with himself with his own piss. Like a good.
He's saying he trusts you more than me because I took my phone to the bathroom.
Well, yeah.
But
Yeah.
I wasn't. It's not like I was texting my ladies, bro. I was literally just playing Clash.
There's our ladies, buddy. Clash
The archers.
is code word.
The archers.
You literally heard the sound effect in the bathroom, bro. Hi. We're back.
Already.
We left.
All right. So after that brief little intermission, so we're gonna talk about sin. We're gonna expand more on sin. So, like Hal was talking about, sin is more than just like what we do, right? Like mechanically.
This gets so weird, bro.
What did I do?
He's doing like this. Anyways, so sin is more than just our actions and like not following the 10 Commandments and among other rules, right? So what is your guys's, before I expand personally, what are you guys's, okay, we'll do Ben mostly. What are your guys's opinions or like idea of sin? I think, how do you commit?
Like, how do you commit sin?
Actually no. Like, what is your idea of sin?
It's like your thoughts. Sin isn't. I don't think sin is typically like. Sin isn't just like action. So it's like what you do. It's also like what you think about. Because like you can be perfect and not do anything, but you could also think about like a lot of like crazy. Like you can like. Let's take porn for example. Like you can like. you can have like lustful thoughts and like not actually do anything, or you could do things like you could like have like sexual interaction, like sexual intercourse, or like just for the fun of it and not for like the purpose of like recreation.
Mm-hmm. All right. Do you have any large opinions, Taha, or do you agree?
Doing bad things is bad, and you shouldn't do them because that's bad. Probably.
Megan, why are you about to cry?
Chat, you okay? He's being held at gunpoint right now.
They have a gun under the table.
The gun on his head.
Read the script, Taha.
please send the money.
Oh yeah, and more than just please send the money, please subscribe. All right, so
The Patreon is down below.
follow the Instagram and TikTok. All right,
Do you have a Patreon?
no, I mean I
Gotta
might
get
a
one. It's a staple.
It's a staple.
staple Patreon.
All the like special clips of the podcast,
Special clip.
like behind the scenes.
Yeah, all the deleted scenes where I cut out people's stutters. They can watch that. That's what I was doing. No, I was editing for like a whole day. It was like Elliot, Chris, and Gavin's podcast, and I was stuck in that seat editing for straight up 8 hours. I'm not kidding.
Just make a compilation
Of all the stutters.
and then
I know.
like send it to them and be like, bro.
No, I swear I cut out like at least 20 minutes. I'm not even kidding. Anyways, so the identification of sin and the definition of sin is, or like in a simplistic form, is unbelief. So unbelief in the Lord, right? So I'll bring it back all the way into like prophecy even. And so before like earth and people were created, right, there was like the angels and there's God and such. And so there's the prophecy of Satan, all that like there's the Antichrist that exists. And so when humans were created, after all of this was created, humans weren't made, like we were made out of God's image, right? But we're like analogous to like dirt, right? So we have the seed of Christ and we have the seed of the Antichrist, right? But the thing is, which one was fed first? Literally, like which plant? Like I was saying, there's a seed. Like which seed was watered first? It was obvious, right? It was Adam and Eve eating the forbidden fruit, right? So that seed of that seed of sin has been planted in us for a long time, and like the seed that would like teach us to be virtuous wasn't planted until Jesus. But I'll expand on that more later. And so since we're talking about plants and botany, like we're talking about a tree, right? When there's an apple tree, right? Once that apple tree sprouts, like how Master Ugo is saying, it won't make an orange, it won't make a pomegranate, and it won't make anything like that. It's an apple tree makes an apple, right? And so a sinner makes a sinner, right? And I learned this all from the interview or whatever, but like if you look at babies or whatever, like why do babies get baptized? To cleanse their sins. What sin? This guy's like 2 years old. What did the poor guy do, right?
Being born. Don't
Being
exist.
born's a sin.
Don't exist. Not that hard.
But so sinners, the parents are sinners, like trademarkly. That's how it works, right? And when you look at a baby, you don't think of it as a sinner, right? It's cute, it's adorable, it's a little ugly looking, it's crying
Wanna
everywhere.
kill it.
Maybe it
Wanna
is
murder
a sinner for crying everywhere.
You want to murder it?
I think that's just you, pal.
You want to just. Okay. Anyway,
The masculine
Sorry for
urge to
interrupting.
drop a baby.
that's the urge to.
Yeah, but like these babies have to be purged from their sins, right? So it goes all the way back. So sin, what is sin? Like we're saying, like sin or whatever. Sin is like mechanically, to go back to thoughts, is trust in oneself, right? I'm going to choose to trust my own thoughts over what the church is teaching me, what the Lord is teaching me, what Jesus and all of his teachers were teaching me, right? That's the point of mentors and church and going to church every Sunday and Bible studies or whatever, because our thoughts can't understand the Bible, right? And like any religion, it's kind of different from Christianity in that way, in which like one of the reasons why people believe Christianity is the one true faith is that it basically teaches you that you can't do it alone, right? You need somebody else's help, and that somebody else is the savior, right? But what are these other religions saying, like Buddhism, Hinduism, Islam, or whatever, that it's like trust in oneself to a point, right? Buddhism is like reaching your own inner spirit and stuff. Among other things, I'm like simplifying it. I could be wrong, but that's the point that I'm making. And so, like, if you even think about modern society, what is everybody saying? If you guys don't know why, if the camera doesn't know why Christianity and the LGBTQ community conflicts, there's like a pretty simple description. So what does the LGBTQ say? Let's say this person's biologically a male. I feel that I'm a female. Okay. Let's say this person's biologically female and vice versa. It's the same thing, right? But what does the Bible teach? It teaches you to not trust yourself and not trust how you feel. And so there's one like side saying, I feel however I want, so I am. And like, okay. And there's one other side where it's just like, you're not supposed to trust yourself at all. So of course those like two things would conflict, right? The thing is though, like a lot of, on both sides, they don't handle it really well at all. Like they don't deal with it maturely. Like I don't think Jesus would berate a guy who's like like walking on the street as a dog. Like it's just chilling, you know? Mm-hmm. And like what happened to pray for your enemies, you know? Not to say they're like enemies or whatever, but like what happened to that, you know? Like why are people like berating them and stuff? Mm-hmm. But yeah.
Ivan Basco's LGBTQ is the enemy.
Talking Stage 2024.
It's canceled.
But yeah, that's and like, you know, sin is unbelief, like how I was saying, and then the result of your actions is to trust yourself and all that unbelief, you know? So you guys understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So in what situations have you guys trusted your own thoughts over what your mentors were teaching and what other people, let's say like parents, church, whatever, like in what situation have you trusted your own thoughts and it ended up well or not well?
Me? Okay.
I can't think right now.
Probably for me, it's gonna be like religious things. Times I didn't trust I decided to trust my own thoughts, thinking I was right. It ended up like weakening like my connection with God. I felt like disconnected from the Word almost.
Example.
So, I think this was like sometime like after one of my church camps. I had come down. Or maybe it was at one of my church camps. Anyways, I was thinking to myself like the way that I'm doing it is like because I don't typically get in the Word a lot, but when I do, I get like really deep into it. But I was trying to like tell myself I don't have to read the Bible. I don't have to do this. And then it like I ended up feeling like more distant from God. I'm like, nah, okay, hold on, maybe I do need to do this more. But times I have trusted my own thoughts, I honestly, it's probably just arguments with my parents where I've just been right. But where I've had like a conversation with them, I know this is like really stupid.
I mean,
but, like,
both sides think they're right. So.
Exactly. So no, I was right. In fact, I let the record show
personally,
I was right.
Me personally, I was right.
I was right.
It was like a dumb argument with my dad or whatever, and I was like, no, it's this way. And he's like, no, it's this way. And I was like, really? Here? And he was like, oh,
oh, damn.
I'm still right. But anyways, I think that it's just dumb things like that. But like the most times I trust my own thoughts. I don't actually think they're my thoughts anymore. I think they're thoughts that like the Lord has like placed on my mind, and then I've just chosen to follow them. I think those are the times. Those are the times that lead to the best, most fruitful thoughts.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What do you think, Taha? Do you have any examples of following your own thoughts and it kind of ended up in your face because you followed your own thoughts and you shouldn't have followed your own thoughts? My bad.
This is a lot. Okay. I mean, I feel like not in a religious way, because like in my personal life, I don't like focus too much on religion, but like most of the time, I follow my own thoughts rather than like what people tell me. Which is probably not a good thing because I'm stupid, but I can't think of a time where it's particularly gone right or wrong. It's just kind of been, it's been this, it's been that.
Do you have any examples of it's been this, it's been that?
Like, I gotta go scroll through my mind real fast. Hold up.
School.
Like, yeah, like on the phone, like you know, how on the phone, like that's what.
How about in school? Anything with like?
Oh, in school?
Yeah. Just if that's easy to think of.
I feel like you're trying to tell me something.
I can think of something.
I feel like you're trying to tell me something.
English.
What part?
There's a lot. Just pick one.
Trying to refer to the English podcast?
Yeah.
Trying to refer to that, buddy?
No, just think of something.
Well, I couldn't go.
No, I'm not saying.
I had a blood test.
I know. But like,
you want to do? We had a project, right? There's an English project. I have to explain to them.
Off topic. It's fine.
Okay, sure.
And then it was like a podcast like this. Oh my god, full circle. but it was like I couldn't show up because I had like a blood testing doctor's appointment.
No, we knew. We weren't mad at you. We were just joking about
And
it.
then they were like, I hate you, Taha. I wish death upon your family, Taha. And then I had to record my lines, and that's what he's referring to.
No, it's not what I'm referring
He's referring to how I had to.
I'm referring to your study habits.
Oh, that. Yeah, I don't study. I don't think I studied a single. Not since sophomore year.
And how did that work out for you?
Pretty good.
That was not where I was going with that. But anyway,
I mean, I'm passing all my classes. That's that's what I
In
want.
summer.
yeah.
Not in summer. I don't have any summer school.
Yeah, I was 0 classes on passing.
Like,
I was referring to this is just what I see, but this is what I see with like a lot of people too. It's not just you, especially me too. Work ethic. I think times that like, well, I trust. Yeah, I know. Yeah, times like this is another good example I should have used actually is my work ethic. Or I'll think I'm like I've done enough work, and then like I'll like show up. I'll I've done enough like work. Or I've done enough like preparation. Let's say for, like school, for example, and then I'll show up. I'll be like, wait a minute, this is not enough preparation. This is not enough like time that I've put into it. And with work ethic is especially in teenagers and especially like in high schoolers is typically it's very low because most people as teenagers we typically just don't care.
Yeah,
right?
it's easier.
Yeah, exactly. We're taking the easy way out. But like my work, that's a time where like it's ended poorly in my face is when I just haven't put enough like work. Like my work ethic just hasn't been there. But like when my work ethic has been there, I've seen good things from it. Mm-hmm. So like for an example, like for me, like in school, for like my math class, for example, the first semester I got a B. And then I was like, oh, well, I wonder what happened. And it is my work ethic. I ended up, second semester, I studied a little bit more, and then I got an A the next semester. So it ended up better for me because I changed my work ethic and I changed. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the main reason for me why I don't have a good work ethic, because we're on this topic now, is because like I've like the plan I've made for myself does like I don't need like
Doesn't
A
require
plus.
it.
Yeah, I don't like need A pluses or like super high grades. I just need to graduate high school, and then I'm gonna go to a community college, and then transfer. Hopefully, if I do well in like community college, and then I also have this other thing where it's kind of like the school provides it. It's like an internship type thing, which I'm doing. It's like trying to help me find a job right after high school. That I signed up for. I don't even remember why I signed up for it, but I'm part of it now, and I'm doing that. So like, I got like a couple of options, so it's like I'm not too worried about like right now.
The reason I brought that up is because I see a lot of people, especially you, where I see like I'm not saying this is a bad thing. I'm saying this like I see a lot of people that have like really like strong potential, like to like do like very well if they put in the time and the work. And then when I see that they don't do it, it just it kind of ticks me off a little bit because you were in my honors class. That's a difficult class, and I could see that you were trying a little bit, but like
no, that was me on 1%.
But I know that if you tried a little bit more, if you put in a little bit more work ethic, you could do so well in that class, and you could do so well just in general. And I see with a lot of people, like you all know Connor, but Connor does not have a good work ethic, and I've talked to him about this, but that he just doesn't care, and he admits that he doesn't care. But like I'm looking at him like, dude, you could be so smart, and you can. It's not even funny how smart you could be, because I've seen him put time and work into other things. But if he just redirected that towards school, he could be like one of the smartest people I know. And same for you. Like you're a really smart kid. You're real. Like I'm not joking when I say that you are really smart. I just think you just use that for other things that just aren't school, and that's okay. But that's just something I noticed.
Yeah.
I love you, Ben.
Thank you, Taha.
He did not reciprocate. No.
I love him like a brother.
Yeah.
That's
what I meant. That's what I meant too. Oh, okay.
Anyways, yeah, and
Only in
I feel like
private.
a lot of people, like how you're saying, they don't have good worth ethic.
Oh my.
Work ethic.
We'll work through this together. Get that ethic.
Come on.
That's not the word.
So close.
Not at all.
If you had a little bit more work ethic.
Maybe.
Maybe you put more work ethic into it.
More work ethic. More work ethic.
Anyways.
Anyways, and like for a lot of people, they don't like to put it in school because this is like a school isn't for all of people. Obviously, there's extracurriculars, other stuff, and for me, like I put my energy with people and result in this podcast. And, like work.
Gosh, bro.
Worth ethic. Worth ethic comes in like many forms.
Work ethic.
Yeah, it's just like putting yourself out there to like find what you want, and a lot of people they just don't branch out is the thing. Like they're very comfortable in their comfort zone, like how many people say. So it's very important that you do come out of your comfort zone. A good message for the people. And so we'll finish this off because time's coming down. And so what is like how I foreshadowed, what is a good situation where like somebody has spoken for you, or like you feel like somebody has spoken out of you, like how you were saying with the Lord using you as a conduit sometimes, Ben? So what were the good situations that came out of that, so we don't end on the devil?
Ben,
Sorry, say that one more time.
So, have you ever felt like an out of body experience, like you were saying things you wouldn't have ever thought you would say? What were those experiences?
So I think those
In a positive way.
Okay, yeah.
calling Taha smart.
I think the times that I felt like the strongest about it is at my church camp there, that during the summer, Thursday night is typically known as cry night for the reason that like people this is the night that people usually like commit themselves to like the Lord for like the very first time, because a lot of people who go to this church camp some of them don't know the Lord, but then a lot of them also recommit their life to Christ. And what I mean by recommit their life to Christ, they understand, they stand up and they understand like, wait a minute, like there's clearly something in my life that's wrong. And that is one of the nights where I see like the most maturity and out of like all of the people there, because they're mature enough to stand up and realize for themselves that I've done something wrong and I need to change that. But for me, during that night that I felt like I strongly had a strong passion about that night, because one of my friends who was going through, I didn't know exactly what he was going through, but the Lord told me, hey, I need you to go sit down and I need you to like go comfort this person right now. I need to go pray for them. And I just felt like that rush, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go do this. And in the end, I think it was really worth it. I think he really appreciated it, and he's one of my good. He's a sophomore now, but him and I are still like really really close, and I appreciate him for that, and I appreciate him like a brother. So.
Do you have any situations like that, Taha?
I need the question again.
Okay. So, have you ever felt an experience where you feel like you were saying things and you were doing things that like you were like possessed to do in like a good way?
I'd say like not like recently, but like
That's okay.
maybe when I was like a kid or something, I'd do something and I would like not really know why I did it, type of thing. Or like something similar to what you said. I would like go talk to someone just randomly, and like you remember David? He was just in my advisement. I was just like, come with me, because I realized he doesn't know anyone.
Yeah.
So I just like took him to our group, and then that's how he started in our group.
Yeah.
So that's a
really big one.
Yeah. And then that was his whole group for the rest of the years, which was cool. And then now he's gone. May his soul rest in Connecticut.
Shout out David.
Shout out David Betancourt. But yeah, it's like stuff like that is the only things I can think of.
That's really good, actually. You were able to bring someone that didn't have like a lot of connections into a friend group, and then everyone became really close with them.
Yeah.
Sounds great. And for me, like obviously I have this podcast, I'm really good at speaking, but it wasn't because like, people could get good from speaking from just like trying and talking to new people, right? But the out of body experience that I like had is when I give advice. So I'm like, I'm very good at giving like counseling and advice, and a lot of people have gone for me for it, which I'm very appreciative if you guys ever watch that, and which is why we're here for the podcast, and so that people can know. But yeah, for me, I remember when I was in like freshman year, right? And I was like doing my own thing, particularly with relationships or whatever, and people would come to me for that advice. One, I'd be like, "Wait, why are you going to me?" I'm like stupid. But like for me, when I speak about those things, it was the level of maturity I have now that I spoke with 2 years ago. I mean, no, like 3 years ago at this point, which is not even close. So, like, I'm a much more mature person now. And for me, it was that experience of like giving advice to all these people for various things. And I've still carried that with me throughout all these years. But particularly for like the out of body experience, I would have to say it was like 2 years ago for me. Alrighty. You guys good?
Yeah.
All right.
Perfect. It's
So
just the greatest day of my life.
I'd say this is a pretty successful podcast. You guys ready to wrap this up and head out?
Sure.
Yep.
Alrighty. So, yeah, why not? I'll do this thing again. So, our slogan on the talking stage is "Speak Our Truth." So, speak our truth. We're gonna say it that fast in 3, 2, 1.
Speak our truth.
Alrighty.
Yay. Hooray.
Alrighty. Thank you all for watching the talking stage today. Why did I say today? So, my name is Ivan Vasquez. Today, I was joined with.
Taha.
And Ben.
Alrighty. Thank you all for
That's
watching.
bad.
Subscribe and like if you would like, and check out the Instagram and TikTok. Thank you for watching.